I'll tell you what, that was dominance. That's what we like to see here at LAFC Plus. Welcome, episode 45 of LAFC Plus. We roll on. This is season 2 of this show. He is Mario Ruiz. I'm Dave Denholm, and we are part of the LAFC radio team that broadcasts the games on 710 ESPN. If you're in Los Angeles, you can also hear them on the ESPN LA radio app. The ESPN LA app is great. Just one click, you're there. Sometimes we hear us on Sirius XM as well. I think it's Sirius FC. Mario Ruiz, welcome back into LAFC Plus after a brilliant Concacaf Champions Cup performance by the Black and Gold.
That's what we love to see, Dave. That's what we love to see. How you feeling, Black and Gold faithful? How you feeling, LA? What a show, what a performance by LAFC on Tuesday night at BMO Stadium. Just like Dave said, pure domination from every part of the pitch, right, Dave? Offensively, defensively, in the midfield, even the subs. The subs came on and they made a mark on the match. The only thing I'm mad at is just that I think it should have been maybe 4 or 5-0 that night.
Getting
Dave.
greedy.
That's the only thing I'm mad at.
I love it. I love it. Greed is good when it comes to trying to bury someone in the first leg of a 2-leg tie. Remember, it's not over. LAFC did win 3-0 at BMO Stadium, beating Columbus Crew in, you can call it revenge. I don't think that's the TV play-by-play person had a good point. This stuff doesn't erase the losses in previous tournaments or anything, but it's a little balming, kind of calm influence on a team for the rest of maybe this season as you move forward. Obviously, you now know you can take care of business against this team, and Wilfred Nancy's team is a very good team still. Columbus Crew are going to be very tough. And there is still leg 2 coming up on Tuesday in Columbus. We've got another game before then we'll talk about a little bit, but you can't just look ahead too much because you still got to take care of business. But Mario,
before this game, Dave, I even said I'm not even going to feel safe with a 3-0 victory before the game even happened.
You did.
And I was like, we need to score as many as possible just to go into Columbus and have as much as an advantage as possible. And right now they're at 3-0, have a 3-0 advantage. So let's go see. Still 90 more minutes there. They got to take advantage of those 90 minutes and put more. Keep going forward.
And we do want to highlight, of course, the offense through Denis Bouanga, for the most part, although not exclusively, was tremendous, no doubt. Denis was Denis. That's what I wrote in my notes. Had not been off to like the greatest start in terms of goals being scored or anything like that. But when it comes time to it, he steps up, and he did a couple of great goals in this one. Just first one is vintage Denis, swiping the ball away from Herrera before he even knew he was there. Maybe like 30 yards outside of goal, but he was the last man, back. And Denis went right around Patrick Schulte and scored. And then the second one was just, maybe you might not see a better goal all year. It's early yet. Obviously, you would assume maybe something else will happen with Denis, but that might be his best goal all season. We don't know. That was a thing of beauty. What I loved, Mario, I don't know if you felt the same, was the reaction of your teammates. A goal is amazing when your fellow teammates and professional athletes react the way. Yes, exactly. If you're listening, Mario's doing the old handshake, kind of the Zinedine Zidane video, like the handshake when you know it's a great goal.
Beautiful.
And Mark Delgado immediately, and Jeremy Ebobisse, I think, both hands to the top of the head, like, holy cow, what did I just see? Because I saw Ebobisse on the replay on that second Denis goal, the curler to the back post. And I saw Ebobisse kind of putting his hands out, like asking for the ball, right? Like, put it on my feet here. I'm open. And not that Denis didn't see him, but it was already Denis in the plans. I think he already had it in his head, Mario, that he was going to try to score a world-type goal, and he did.
Yeah, that's the Denis that we're used to seeing. That's that golden boot Denis at his finest. Anytime he had the ball, you just felt like something exciting was going to happen in that particular night. I was just kind of shocked that how many times he was left 1v1 and how much time and space he had that night. That's the last thing you want from an opponent if you're going up against Denis and LAFC, is to just let him do his thing like that. So, and he took full advantage, Dave.
Yeah, I saw somebody on X saying the same thing. Everybody's first instinct when it comes to a great goal in MLS, some of the X reaction, terrible defending. Okay, pump the brakes. Right? If you don't know MLS and you don't know Denis Bouanga and you don't know the situation, you think, how are they letting him, just like you said, kind of letting him The problem is, Mario, you take a stab at Denis right there, and he's right by you.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Defenders know this. They have to give him some room to let him operate somewhat, because otherwise he'll just go right by you. And then he's in the box, and you might be fouling him. Then you might, or you might just be behind, like the plays past you. Like you can't.
This is what we're starting to notice about David Martinez too. David Martinez is having that situation whenever he's getting defended. It's like people don't, the opponents don't know what to do with him. So they give him a little bit of space because they're kind of like being careful with him because he's going to go right past
with Denis, they know what to do, which is give him a little space because, with David, you don't know what he's capable of yet. With Denis, you do. But it's kind of the same thing. We got to be cautious here, especially at the edge of the area. Like Denis was actually, I think, in the 18 by the time he shot that ball. Maybe just barely, like right around the edge of the 18. But if you're the defender and you overcommit there, you're either committing a foul, giving a terrible free kick away, or worse, a penalty, or he's right past you, like I said. And then it's like all hell can break loose in there because you don't know where he's going to go and how it's going to happen. So, yeah, he gave him a little too much space, but you're also not expecting that kind of finish. I mean, it was just pure class and just a beautiful goal. But you mentioned Martinez. I want to shout out David and Nathan Ordaz. Boy, they are for real, man. Just, they can, combined age of, I think, now 40. I think Ordaz turned 21 not that long ago.
I told you don't do that again. Dude. You're making us feel really bold, really old. Come on now, baby.
It's true. They could practically be my grandkids, not even just kids. So David, 19, Ordaz, 21. Look, we saw the talent we've seen the talent of both in the past. Ordaz has been with LAFC since I think he was barely a teenager. We're talking a long time ago. He joined the club, joined the academy. He's just basically an LAFC product growing up. But we saw the talent. When you go out and get a guy like David Martinez before he even really turns 18, you can't sign him until he turns 18. But he's just loaded with talent just by the fact that he's coming here from another country. You're making a big move for a player like that who's only 18. But Ordaz, to his credit, has done it a different way in a sense. He's just getting better and better, through your academy, through your first team, through LAFC 2. Through a loan to Las Vegas Lights at the time when they were the affiliate, he's put in the work. And a lot of times guys hit a wall, right? We know most guys don't, quote unquote, make it to the, like on a big level. That doesn't mean they can't be pros and stick around for a while, but like they don't keep getting better, unfortunately. That's just professional sports. There is a wall sometimes. And Ordaz is just crashing through that wall, Mario. Just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, Dave, and it's like a lot of people are saying, Columbus is not the same anymore without those key players of Cucho and Christian Ramirez, and that is true. But LAFC also are not the same team as last year either. LAFC have improved in many parts of the pitch. There's a lot of new players that have fit right in, like right away. Jeremy Abobasi, Delgado, Marlon, Igor Jesus. Like these guys have come in and just fit in right away, making an impact. But then there's also players that have been here with LAFC last year that came in just on a new level. So that's that's what you're saying. David Martinez, Nathan Ordaz, if those two can keep up this level of play on top of the new faces that are here at LAFC, you got to watch out because this team right here is capable of winning trophies. I'm not just saying one trophy. I'm saying plural. This team right here, if they keep this going, they can win a few trophies here, Dave, in 2025.
And it's something you have to have not only in this sport, but all sports, but also this league. Because of the salary cap and the way things are, you have to have young players continue to get better and better and just become more important to your team on the pitch too. Like they have to do it. Like you can't just say it. You can't just hope it. You can't just have guys sitting on the bench. Oh, he's 18 and he's the next great, I'm not talking about LAFC. I'm talking in general. In this sport, you have to have guys who keep getting better at a young age, just progressing. And you have to have it in MLS, especially because you can't just go out and buy the next 18-year-old $50 million play. That's not how it works.
That's credit to the players and to the club, the coaching staff. Both sides have to do this together. Let's improve this young talent and get his full potential together.
Yep, I agree. And you're right. That's exactly what's happening with those two. Just stellar performances. Doesn't matter who starts. Doesn't matter who comes off the, they're different players. Now they happen to be playing in the same position right now. Maybe even a little more of a long jam when you have a guy like Cengiz Ünder coming in who's just
Oh
loaded
yeah.
with talent,
Oh yeah.
so plenty of minutes to go around, don't get me wrong, but it's more about there's different players, but they're doing what they do well, and they're doing it
Hmm.
really well, and it's affecting the team, whoever it is. Ordaz's goal, just a thing of beauty. David
Yeah.
missed by inches on a similar, not a similar type play, but one-timer, if you will. And then he missed another one that kind of bounced up a
Yeah.
little higher than maybe.
That's one
But
thing about David. He's got to work on that clinical finishing. One thing
yeah,
about him, if he gets those, we're talking about 5-0.
yeah, we've seen some clinical finishing. Last year, we certainly saw it at times. And then I think
Hmm.
the Schulte save was it was a good shot because it was through a little bit of traffic
Yeah.
and it forced a bad rebound. Now, Jeremy Obobisi was offside when he put it in. There's no way he wasn't. It's a good call.
Hmm.
But it's one of those where you're going to get a lot of rebounds on that type of shot, too, because it's just a
Yeah.
blistering take from Martinez. And it's on frame, So Schulte
Hmm.
makes a good save. It could have been a goal had Obobisi been a little more onside, or if a defender was a little farther back. There's nothing Obobisi could do about that. But so you love that effort.
Yeah.
And that's what we got to keep seeing. Before we get to the real stars, the midfield was so good again. Nobody played badly. This is a great team game. Midfield
Hmm.
was great, Mario. So smooth on the ball. They're just moving it back and forth with the defenders
Yes.
and the forwards. It's like they can turn around and play it whichever way they need to kind of maintain that pace and possession.
Uh-huh.
But the stars are the defense right now. And again, no disrespect to anybody else. This is a great team win. Denis Bouanga, of course, a couple of classic goals, Ordaz. And the offense did look good. They looked better. They had good chances. But this defense, 4 straight shutouts, haven't been
Yeah.
scored on since, midway thugh the second half against Colorado? Kind of maybe
Hmm.
a few minutes earlier than that with that, no goals from the run of play this year. Not there was a PK, unfortunate, and then obviously a set piece, Mihailovic with a brilliant goal for Colorado. No goals in the run of play.
Yeah.
What's going on here, Mario? These guys are
Yeah.
playing great.
Only 3 shots on goal from opponents in the last 3 games. That's just incredible. That's just pure domination. I've never seen Diego Rossi so frustrated. He was just so pissed that night. He did absolutely nothing in that match. He was playing his guts out, Dave, like he typically does. He always does that. Nothing but hard work from Diego Rossi, but LAFC's defense was just all over him. I think they knew they had to take him out, and he was just getting roughed up out there. And I know Ryan gave him a few bumps out there. I know Sergi did as well. He wasn't just getting any of that love that former LAFC players get sometimes. But yeah, that defense is just incredible. Props to everybody. I mean, from the
Yeah.
captain, Aaron Long, Hugo Lloris just staying ready and making, just one save at times to save the game sometimes, all the way up into the midfield, because the midfield is doing that work too. And Igor Jesus is over there, just the man, he's like a middle linebacker or something out there with a great touch on the ball. His head is on a swivel. Jesus has been incredible helping out the defense as well.
Yeah, I think he's also learning his teammates pretty quickly, too, actually. I see him more comfortable when he's on the ball in
Yes.
traffic. Not because of his game, but rather where are my teammates going to be?
Learning tendencies.
Yeah, in
Yes.
preseason, sometimes a guy will get a ball stripped like that. A
Hmm.
guy because he's hanging on to it a little bit, like, where's my teammates? Oh, they're not where I'm used to. They're over. Oh, here, the ball stripped. It's gone. He's
Hmm.
really, captured his teammates' tendencies quickly, which is a good sign, too, no doubt.
Hmm.
And very tough to get off that ball. He is a
And then
tough
Marky Delgado
player.
too, always making the right
Oh,
pass, right
such a
decision,
pro. Yeah.
the experience that he has and the confidence that he has on the ball. And then you got Timmy Tillman, who just picked up right where he left off last season. It's going to be very difficult for opponents to get through even the midfield, and then to get through the defense. It's even
Yeah.
tougher.
Yeah, there was sometimes even like Jesus was almost playing as a fifth center back, or like a third center back, where
Right.
they were absorbing that pressure enough that with a lead, they want to hit Columbus on the counter. So it was like Jesus was almost like the center back, if you will. Then, left center back would be Aaron Long, of course, and Marlon, who,
Hmm.
tremendous performances. Of course, good to see Aaron Long right back, took a little bit of a knock, They were very cautious with him in terms of playing time for, just a game or so after leaving that game and, at halftime, getting the knock. So great to see him just right back, seemingly at 100%. There was no issue there. Hollingshead's been playing magnificent. Sergi Palencia. Oh, let's mention that too. Sergi Palencia played great. But also, we do want to say the incident with Iwazium, the defender for Colorado. Concacaf came out and said it's resolved. What apparently what they said was after their investigation, Mario, there'll be no further punishment or anything like that. They said yes, some tough language was bantered back and forth, as sometimes happens in professional sports. But as they said, the word that Iwazium thought was spoken was not, at least as far as their investigation can conclude, and the matter's done. Now, here's the thing that bothers me. I want to speak on some of these sometimes. Now, with social media, we get it. It's terrible. You just people going off.
Yeah.
The problem becomes before an investigation, the initial reaction is Palencia, he must have done this.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the damage is done. Yeah.
Now, after it, and let's be honest, some of that's Colorado at first, let's say, their fans are going, pitchforks and, Palencia must go, he had to have done it. But then afterwards, you have to be careful as LAFC fans not to then automatically say, well, Iwazium was lying or trying to stop the game, or he should be punished. Two things can happen that are both true. One, Sergi Palencia didn't say what Iwazium thought he said. But two, Iwazium believed he said that. Right? So if you're Iwazium, yes, you should stop the match if you think that happened, and go to the ref and do what you did. There's nothing wrong with that. We need to stop that junk in the game, right? But it's also true that he just heard differently. Like he misheard. That doesn't make Iwazium a bad guy or trying to cheat or trying to get Palencia somehow banned or what, Now, again, you're just jumping to a conclusion that's not necessarily true. Just like people might have jumped to the conclusion that, well, Palencia must have done something horrific or must have, And let's remember, these are different languages being spoken. Now, I know a lot of these guys do speak those languages as well. I'm not saying Iwazium doesn't. Iwazium, I think, might speak like 5 languages or whatever. But there are different, there's different, whatever. You might have misheard it in the heat of battle, right? And I believe that's what happens.
Another thing that happens is the speculation, or when the story breaks, that blows up on social media, right?
Absolutely.
And people, they get their own conclusions to what happened, what really happened, their own opinions on what happened. But then when the truth does come out after the investigation is already done, it's not really that big of a story on social media, because it's just kind of like something that just a little bit more quietly, the truth comes out, the statement comes out that it was, false, nothing really did happen. Okay. And then it's not that exciting for social media, so it doesn't really blow up. Yeah. So there's a lot of people that still have that idea, Sergi said this, Sergi said that. But we deal with Sergi a lot, right?
And maybe because I was looking for it, but I thought CONCACAF did a good job. They, released a big, they made it a big deal in a sense. Like, here's our investigation. It did not happen. Yeah. There is no punishment. But it also doesn't, kudos to everybody. Colorado defending their player, coming out with a statement. They're going to let this is what we believe, it's going to be investigated. LAFC, we've spoken to our player. We're going to let the investigation go. This is what, we don't stand for this stuff. We want to make sure it gets investigated, whatever. Those are the stances. Those are both right.
Yeah.
Iwazium, again, should report something if he thinks he hears what he thought he heard. Okay? He should. You shouldn't just let that go. Not anymore. And Palencia has a right to defend himself and say what happened and go through the investigation. And if he's cleared, great. Now everything, nothing was wrong in a sense. Now,
and we deal with Sergi a lot, Dave, you and I. I mean, we talked about the training ground a lot, at the games a lot, and that's just not Sergi. He doesn't have that in him. I mean, he's a gamer. We know how he loves to battle. He does whatever it takes to help his team win. But that's just not the type of guy that Sergi is. And thank God that the truth came out.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't, honestly, I wasn't that worried. Like, I just had to believe it was, a misunderstanding. But now is also not the time to then point back at Awaziem like, oh, he's a bad guy. He must have been doing it to cheat and waste time or something stupid like that. Or he wanted to get Palencia a red card or something like that, which was not going to happen in the heat of the moment, like unless the referee clearly heard, like there had to be an investigation, like they just, it was all handled appropriately. Sadly, this stuff goes on, not in this instance, but so you have to handle these things appropriately. I think it's great that it was just all handled appropriately. We didn't then hear Colorado come out and start complaining, right? We didn't hear, oh, this is wrong, like we got to let it be investigated. And it's fine. Maybe a player misheard something. That's as simple as that. Now we have to take care of the investigation and we can move on. And I'm just glad, honestly, it was handled quickly, fairly. Everything was, and we just move on. And boy, he looked good too. Let's just getting back to the field. Jeez Louise.
And the job is not done yet, Dave. The job is not done yet with Columbus. 90 more massive minutes in Columbus. That's an atmosphere that LAFC, they know very well. We all know very well. And LAFC have dropped some big games there at Lower.com Field. So the guys know it won't be easy. They know Columbus is still a very good team with one of the greatest coaches in MLS right now, Wilfred Nancy. But that's also a motivator right there for LAFC. I think after that performance that they just had, big confidence booster. The group feels that they can close them out here and knock them out of the Concacaf Champions and advance to the next round. And that next round is going to be huge if they do advance.
And, 3-0 obviously feels tough, right? You don't have to win 4-0. Of course, if you do that, you're going through, you're beating LAFC. But if you get to 3-0, you're going to PKs or whatever, you just got to get the first one. You get the first one, then things start, momentum is momentum in sports. And that can be a dangerous thing. Now, Tuesday, the weather's going to be good in Columbus, at least according to what I'm seeing, the National Weather Service. 60, 55, 60 degrees at kickoff somewhere. I would have guessed somewhere about that. The high, I think that day is mid 60s, earlier in the day. So
nice.
At least it's not like a Colorado thing where you're going in and all of a sudden it's 7 degrees or something like that again. And ball bounces the wrong way in the first minute or something. LAFC just got to come out and just be solid, right? You don't have to play like 11 men behind the ball for 90 minutes. How about going and getting the first goal?
That would be a dagger, wouldn't it, Dave? If they get one,
then they got to get
early
5.
on.
Yeah, if LAFC scores 1, there can't be extra time, right? So if LAFC just put a goal on the board, then Columbus has to get at least 5 to then move on. If it's just 5-1, so we're not going to see LAFC defend for 95 minutes. That's just not going to happen either. But stranger things have happened. It's not over. We all know that. But I don't know how you felt, Mario. We'll wrap it up with this. Watching this match, I was, first 15 minutes, Columbus looks good again. LAFC is settled in. They look fine defensively.
Columbus works hard all game long. Yeah.
They don't give up the ball. It's so hard to get, they ping that ball around.
They press well. Yeah.
Oh, man. And they look good, but they weren't getting anywhere. LAFC were settled in defensively, which was nice to see. Then Denis pulls the Denis, and it's 1-0. And then I'm just like, oh, don't give up a quick goal, right? The next 10 minutes are like, don't nail biting. Just keep that lead for a little while. Get into half. Oh, that's good. But boy, we got a long way to go.
Yes.
30 seconds into the second half or whatever it was. I mean, it's barely 2-0. Amazing goal. Then you're like, don't give up one. We did it against Colorado. That's what really won us the Colorado series or the ties by getting that goal in Colorado. Just don't give up one, or we got to get another. It's either or, fellas. If they're going to score one, whatever they score now, we got to match that at least to have that 2-goal lead. But they don't get it, and then Nathan Orda, and then you're just like, don't give up a goal in these final 10. The final 10 minutes were miserable for me because being up 3-0 was amazing. Yeah. But it's just you have to finish that off. Right. That was such a roller coaster, even though you dominated the match. Yeah. It was 3-0, but it's just a roller coaster because of these 2-leg ties.
You don't want to concede at home. You never want to concede at home in these 2 legs.
You never feel good. It doesn't, And
So the
now if we
weather's
get
going
a
to be
goal,
good. Yeah, the weather's going to be good in Columbus for Tuesday night. That's great. But for LAFC's next MLS match, it could be a little tricky in Seattle, right? The weather, I was looking at the weather today, matter of fact, for Saturday's
yeah,
match.
yeah,
Could be
Seattle, you
some
just
rain there, could be a little bit of wind, could be colder than what it really is temperature wise because of the wind. And it's going to be tricky on that turf,
uh,
too.
yeah. One of my favorite TV shows of all time is a show based in Seattle. The show Frasier. The
Yeah.
sitcom back in the and one of the classic lines in that is the state flower is mildew. That's because it rains so much there. So that's basically true. And yet,
Yeah.
according to my little, I think it's the National Weather Service, it's going to be pretty rainy up there potentially on Saturday. So that is
Yeah.
a good way to turn our attention to that one, Mario. So rainy day in Seattle on that turf. Okay,
Hmm.
we've seen that before, unfortunately. Sounders come in with a loss and a win, or I'm sorry, a loss and a draw in their first two in MLS. They are coming off a game that I know we watched in the Concacaf Champions Cup, the 0-0 draw with Cruz Azul. Some of our old buddies there got the starting 11 there, Campos and Mateusz Bogusz. So they're in CCC. They're kind of
Yeah.
more than one eye on CCC right now. And they got the bigger picture of the Club World Cup, which we'll talk a little bit more about. They're in that coming up in the summer, Mario. So they've reloaded. They didn't
Yeah,
need
they
to
have.
rebuild. Obviously, they knocked LAFC out of the playoffs. They had a good year last year. They
Hmm.
reloaded. Jesus
Yeah.
Ferreira and Paul Areola, two big signings, Mario. Talk about this team. They are just so, so deep.
Yeah, they're ready. They're deep, exactly. Just like LAFC, they have CONCACAF Champions Cup ambitions, just like LAFC. But this match here, Dave, is a match that I circled way back when the schedule just came out. And, redemption is something that I like to use. And I know this team right here, we can all remember they knocked out LAFC out of the playoffs last year. So any extra motivation for players is definitely a good thing. And we know that these two sides already have just so much history between each other. So many memorable moments, like the first ever match in club history for LAFC, where LAFC went into Seattle, won 1-0 with Diego Rossi. That name comes up again, Diego Rossi, yes, for the first ever goal for LAFC. That was amazing. Your call on that one, it just gives me chills. We should have loaded that one up, Dave, to play that for the LAFC Plus listeners. But
Maybe I'll have to dig that out and put it on social media this week or something. But
yeah,
oof, I do remember
and
it very well. That pass from Carlos Vela. Boy,
from
that
Vela, yes.
place went dead silent except for the LAFC fans that had made the trip actually for that first game. And
And then
Lumen Field
LAFC's
is
first
never
goal at
that
home
quiet.
as well.
Yep.
At home as well, Laurent Simon in stoppage time, dramatic goal to win that game, first ever game in downtown LA for LAFC. But then there's 3 out of 4 playoff matches between LAFC and Seattle. The Sounders have taken those matches,
Yeah.
big time matches, playoff games. So there's always that playoff type of atmosphere between LAFC and Seattle, and rightfully so. These are two of the biggest clubs in MLS, even in LAFC's short history. They've already built that type of rivalry with a powerhouse club like Seattle here in MLS. So this is not a game that these two teams are going to take lightly, even though they do have ambitions in Conca Champions, and we're right in the middle of these midweek matches. So it's going to be very interesting. It's going to have huge implications on the MLS season as well, I think, Dave.
Yeah, March or November, it feels like a playoff game no matter when they play. I think you're 100%
Yeah.
right, Mario. I've even heard like diehard Sounder fans talk about how this is a bigger rivalry than even Seattle Portland, if people can believe that. I mean, they've really taken to hating with a sports hate and passion LAFC, which is fine
Yeah.
because they hadn't beaten LAFC. They hadn't beaten us since 2021, amazingly. Then they get the big revenge with Jordan Morris put the dagger in last year in the playoffs. And now it's our turn, maybe. But that's a guy I want to focus on too. Morris and Pedro de la Vega, I think, for me, Mario. Jordan
Hmm.
Morris can kind of make something out of nothing,
Yeah.
along the lines of a Denis Bouanga in that sense, in a way. Like he can steal a ball. He can just make one run when a pass, bad ball in the midfield, and all of a sudden he makes a run. He sees it earlier. He's behind the
Hmm.
defense. Seattle's not always pretty. We didn't see a lot of pretty last year from Seattle necessarily, but boy, you can't score on them. They will choke the ball away from you. They will just dry up your offensive chances. and they will take advantage of theirs when they have to. And they're
Yeah, we
tough to
saw it
beat.
last year with Jordan Morris. Jordan Morris, he did it to us last year in the playoffs with
Yeah.
that one goal late in the game. So, but I know the Sounders are very clear with their priority right now, as LAFC as well. They're putting their strongest starting 11 in
Yep.
Concacaf Champions, and they put out their best 11 when they face Cruz Azul this week, and rightfully so. And their new acquisition, Paul Ariola. I mean, he hasn't even started a game in MLS yet because he's been in the Conca games, right? He's been in the Conca Champions games. Same with Pedro de la Vega. De la Vega has not started for Seattle in an MLS match yet this year. He did all 3 CONCACAF matches, and he's their difference maker for real, David.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's from Argentina, he can get them going on the wing, dynamic. He can create, send crosses in, he can finish. So let's see what Schmetzer has planned for his starting 11 for this one against LAFC, because it is interconference, Western Conference rivals here.
Yeah, I think it's a key question when you were previewing this match. That is the question that Mario just posed. Who is going to play for both sides? LAFC kind of sticking to a formula, I think. Now we have, a 3-0 lead. Seattle's still on a, razor's edge. They did not give up a goal at home, but they didn't score. So they got to go to Cruz Azul, and try to get a goal at least, and then if you get a goal, you got to draw the match still, they still got a lot of work to do too. But it's interesting because if you're Brian Schmetzer, it's a home game.
Mm-hmm.
You did beat LAFC out of the playoffs, but you haven't had a lot of success against them. If LAFC were to get the win, you're 8 points back. And I know it's early. I don't mean it's it's the end of the season, but you're 3 games in. You really can't. You can't be giving up. Dropping 3 points at home to LAFC. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're in the Champions Cup, but so are they. Kind of thing. That's what your fans are going to look at. I think it's going to be pretty darn strong lineups for both teams, and I mean, I think this is a big game. It sounds crazy in March 15th when this game kicks off, but Mario, you drop 8 points back of LAFC in mid-March.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I think
we've seen this with Seattle. We've seen this in Seattle where they have priorities in other tournaments and they have a slow start in MLS, but then towards the end of the season, you're like, wow, okay, Seattle's really got it together now. They're rolling now into the playoffs, and
that's true.
They also make deep runs into the playoffs, but it is very tricky. I totally agree, Dave. It's very tricky and very hard on your team to try to play catch up on the regular season.
But also, like as you said, Paul Ariola hasn't started. I mean, like if he comes in, that's still a starter in MLS. Like Jesus Ferreira is a all-star, whether he's starting for you or coming off the bench or whatever. So if maybe like it's a rotated lineup that he plays, but yet it's guys who are literally all-stars at virtually every position. Like they're as loaded as LAFC. If there is one team that can compare total rosters, well, maybe a couple. Inter Miami. I'm talking top to bottom. Inter Miami, Seattle, and LAFC. I mean,
there's not many.
That might be the list, like in terms of like top to bottom. Look at the bench and you're like, holy cow, that bench is loaded.
So,
that kind of
so
thing.
let's not think that LAFC are sacrificing this game Saturday in Seattle, because the depth is going to be tested, like you're saying, for both the Sounders and LAFC. As they're making their push into Concacaf Champions. And honestly, I'll put, LAFC's depth up against anybody in the league right now. And it's only getting stronger because, Cengiz Under is going to be here as soon as his paperwork gets taken care of. I think that's being handled probably as we speak. That's being handled. And he might be here by the time.
I think he was flying in, actually. I think he might even be in LA. I haven't actually seen that, but
So depending on when you hear or see this podcast, he might be here already. And then Denholm, he's coming off of his injury as well. He's trying to bounce back from that. So it's only getting stronger for LAFC.
Agreed. And here's the bottom line. We don't make excuses at LAFC Plus. Doesn't matter who plays. I don't care if they go grab 11 kids from the academy for some reason, and they're all 15-year-olds, and they put on the jersey and fly up to Seattle. You got to win. Sorry, you're representing LAFC. We don't, and if you lose, you lose. And we don't make excuses. And I know that's a stupid example because obviously that's not going to happen. But we've seen it in like U.S. Open Cups in the past where LAFC played, frankly, a lineup that was like the kids, if you will. The LAFC too, bring them up. Doesn't matter. You got to go in. And if it doesn't matter with who Seattle starts, they represent the Sounders. And 3 points are on the line on Saturday, and a big 3 points. So,
And I know Cherundolo, he always says he's going to field the best team possible to go out and win. They want to
absolutely.
win every single match that they're going to be in.
No, it's
But the
going to be a
question
good one.
is, how does Seattle penetrate that LAFC defense, though? Like, how do they do that? I mean, Schmetzer has to be racking his brain. Like, what are we going to do?
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
Errors. It's what's going to happen. That's the only way right now that somebody's going to score against LAFC is a bad error.
Right now.
And that, again, that can happen. You don't want it to. That's the thing we always talk about. You try to limit those, and you make the other team score world-class goals, which sometimes that does happen too. But right now, it's errors. It's just bad errors. And we saw that.
Put it on the frame. See what happens.
What's that?
Have a shot. Put it on the frame. See what happens. You never know.
You never know. Well, you might as well. It's like nothing else is working.
Try that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we move on to the rest of MLS, the plus of LAFC plus. We always pick out some games here. It's what we've been doing, previewing the next weekend. And it's funny because we'll start with Mario, but only because we picked the exact 2 games. So
we did, didn't we?
We didn't talk about it. And there's 15 games on the MLS schedule now with 30 teams every weekend. Of course, we don't pick the LAFC one because we already, preview that, of course. But so out of 14 games that we could have chosen, Mario sends me his games, and I'm like, those are the exact 2 that I wanted to talk about. We'll start first with the Sunday matchup that we chose, Inter Miami Charlotte. Mario, why does this matchup intrigue you?
Yeah, so Inter Miami is going to host Charlotte, and Charlotte FC all of a sudden are looking like they can make some noise in that Eastern Conference, in my opinion. Not only do they have last year's goalkeeper of the year, Christian Kalina, who's been playing amazing already this year, had some big saves against Almiron and Atlanta United in that win last weekend at home in front of a massive crowd there in Charlotte. They have a great atmosphere, don't they, in Charlotte at that stadium? Oh, my God.
Great win. And you're right. Great win, too.
Big-time win against a good team that's also going to make some noise, Atlanta United. And then they have Tim Ream back there leading the defense. Ajayman is a beast up top. He's such just a big dude, just a lot to deal with for defenders. They look very dangerous. And then their new star, Wilfred Zaha, who is just worth the price of admission, worth every penny. He's one of those guys that likes to put on a show, a lot of confidence, a lot of flair. So, and I heard Bradley Wright Phillips talking about Zaha, saying that he's not even at his full potential. He's like at 50% right now.
See, I was just about to say, as I watched that match, and I watched that Charlotte game, and this is no disrespect, I thought Wilfred Zaha didn't play very well. And he had a goal and assist in a 2-0 victory. So, and I really didn't think he played good at all. I know he's a much better player than that. He was just coming back as he had just had a child. He missed the first game that he was, possibly able to play. He couldn't play because, it was obviously with his significant other there. They had a child. I think his wife had, I don't know if it was their first kid or whatever, but doesn't matter. But so he wasn't available for that match, and he didn't look that good, and still gets a goal and an assist. So look out, like the guy is loaded with talent. I think you're absolutely right.
Talent. He's got tremendous aura. I mean, this dude, after the game, he had all the confidence in the world talking to the media. And he did talk about, coming in after, the birth of his kid and just coming in, getting a goal. He's like, can't ask for anything more. I got a goal, got a kid, got to,
what a week.
Win.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, got to win. So he's going to be super motivated. You don't think he's going to be motivated to go into Miami, play against Messi and put on a show on that stage? That's a game that I'm definitely excited to see this weekend on Sunday.
Yeah,
right?
on Sunday. And that's one of the reasons I picked it too, is that Inter Miami is at home, and in all likelihood, Messi will not skip that match. He missed the game.
He's
going
coming off
to
a lot of rest.
Yep. Yeah, so he missed the game going to Houston. Inter Miami with the Thursday night, Champions Cup game. Then they play. It's not until Sunday, and they're at home. So you would think there's a good possibility that Messi will play in that as well. But my choice of that match was for Charlotte. I agree. It was funny that you started with them too, talking about Charlotte, because it's a good test. I think they could be for real. Still got a little ways to go, but could be a very dangerous team.
Yeah.
And then the
Messi's
second
coming
choice
off a lot of rest. one more thing.
Yeah.
Messi's coming off a lot of rest, so he'll be ready to go for that one. He's also going to be ready to go for that Thursday match at home. Again, they don't have to travel to Jamaica, but the Jamaican side, Cavalier FC, do come to Miami for that first leg of that so important round of 16 matchup in Concacaf Champions for Inter Miami. And we know that if they go through and we go through,
Oh,
they're going to meet. Inter Miami, LAFC meet in the quarterfinals of the Concacaf Champions if all things go accordingly. So that would
don't
be
even get me
massive.
started. Oh man, that's my goodness.
Yes.
Before we go on to the second one, if you're hearing something in the background, my kitchen's being remodeled, so it's getting destroyed right now. You might not even be able to hear it, hopefully, but I thought it was the banging in my head was the banging in my head. I thought was the talk of San Jose, the Earthquakes, who was the second game Mario picked, San Jose versus Minnesota.
Yeah.
I really didn't want San Jose to be good quick, right? I knew, look, you hire Bruce Arena, eventually you're going to win. That's just the bottom line. Like, you're going to win games. You're going to be much tougher, no question. I didn't think it would happen this quickly. They've been the beneficiary of maybe a little softer start, 2 games that were not terribly different, but they got to go win them, and they did. One of the only perfect teams left among a few, and they're taking on Minnesota. Mario, I love this match. I'm so glad you picked it because it's a great test for both teams to see where they're at, even though it's early.
Yeah, Bruce Arena is already just working that magic in San Jose. I mean, we knew he was going to do it, like you said, but not so quickly already. They're 2-0 with 6 goals already in just 2 games and conceding only 1 goal. So they're doing it defensively as well. And they just beat Sporting KC on the road, down a man. Hernan Lopez, one of my favorite players, non-LAFC players around MLS. He got 2 yellow cards in that match. Sad to see that. But Chicho, he is over there in San Jose. He just scored in their last win. Joseph Martinez, he's over there in San Jose. He just scored as well. So they got a lot of talent over there. Christian Espinosa's over there as well. Bruce Arena just knows what it takes to build a roster, Dave, and building a winning culture. And that San Jose
really
team is going to be a problem for a lot of teams in the West and in the rest of MLS.
And here's why I also picked this game. I feel like I'll be surprised, and I think San Jose, everything you've said is correct. I think they're on their way. Yeah. I actually picked them to be one of the biggest improving teams. Certainly as bad as they were last season. You knew they were going to be much improved, but I think they might get thrashed by Minnesota here at home this weekend. I really do.
Oh, wow.
I think Minnesota's kind of percolating to be really, really good. Now, maybe I'll be surprised. That's why I want to watch this match. I want to see if I'm right or wrong here.
Let's clip that. Let's clip that. We'll save that right there.
Yeah, I think Minnesota could run over
Okay.
San Jose in this one. I really do. And what does that mean on the scoreboard? I don't, I'm not going to predict the score, but I think Minnesota could really, it's a good matchup for them. Again, Bruce Arena will have some tricks up his sleeve that maybe the young Eric Ramsey might not be ready for. I know Ramsey's a good manager, but the Bruce has been doing it a long time, probably longer than Ramsey's been alive, frankly. He's obviously one of the younger managers. But so Bruce will have some tricks up his sleeve ready for just specifically Minnesota. But I think the Loons are kind of on the cusp here. I think they could really kind of hurt San Jose in this matchup, particularly. I wouldn't be surprised if Yeboah goes off, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it's more of a spread it around kind of Loons victory. They got a lot of talent too. We know that. Tough team. And one game I wanted to focus on, Mario, and get your opinion on. This is the one I decided to choose after we had already agreed on those two. We usually pick a couple games each. Is Vancouver-Montreal, battle of the Canadian sides.
Yeah.
And most people would say, well, this is East versus Western Conference. This is, who cares? Like, no, it's not just because it's a Canadian derby or anything. I'm intrigued to see how Vancouver, they could take it. I mean, they're 6 points in, too. This is a winnable game at home. I know you're in CCC. You had a brutally tough match with Monterrey. But Vancouver, got a late draw 1-1. And if you just saw the score, you'd be like, oh, Monterrey fell asleep at the end, maybe a little. They had their road goal. They get the draw. They feel Vancouver should have won this game 4-5-6-1.
Yeah.
I mean, they really dominated the game. Now, again, you didn't do it, so you're in trouble in Concacaf Champions Cup because now you got to go into Mexico, into Monterrey, and get a result. Good luck. And you got to score a goal. You have to score. or you're not going through. And you still may not, but you have to score. So good luck. It took them till 85th minute or 86th minute at home. So, but they really played better than the score. And, you're starting off with 6 points in MLS, and you get a team in Montreal who's on the road, the third out of 7 straight to start the season again for Montreal. So they're just constantly traveling. Long road trip, actually. Montreal to Vancouver is a long trip. I think there's a great opportunity for the Whitecaps to really get humming here early under, a new manager. This is a big opportunity for the Whitecaps to get a victory.
Yeah, the Vancouver Whitecaps have been playing really well in their last 3 games. Really been playing well. Really should have been getting more points than actually what they really have. But MLS 2-0, like that's a great start for them. And in CCC, they're playing well as well. So they're really starting off pretty good here in 2025, Dave. I agree.
Yeah, it's just a team I want to keep an eye on. I kind of thought they might struggle a little bit, but no, when you can go toe-to-toe with Monterrey like that too. Yeah, that's an impressive performance.
They have one of the best players in all of MLS, one of the most exciting players, Gold. He's just spectacular player. He can play in any league and around the world, I believe. And that's not just being, hyperbole. That is just facts great, right there. He's a great player, and he's leading that team, and he's the type of player that can put a team on his shoulders and have them make a deep run in different tournaments and in the league. So watch out
but it's also a big week, Mario, because if you stumble here on the weekend after a decent performance against Monterrey, so you're still alive, you stumble against Montreal somehow, right? Maybe you take your eye off the ball. Montreal's desperate. They get a victory. That's a huge win for them. All of a sudden, now you got to go to Mexico. Yeah. You crash out there. Now you're out of CONCACAF Champions Cup if you're not careful. Then you're like your whole great start is down in the pits. You got to be careful. And we see it all the time. Things change so much. That's the beauty and the pain and the beauty of MLS all wrapped in one. Is you can have a 4-game winning streak and it's amazing, and you go shooting up the table, and then you can hit a 4-game skid, just like that. Just doesn't usually happen to Real Madrid or the Barca, or the big shots in these other leagues that are so top heavy. Right? They just don't have those struggles because the other teams just can't compete. In MLS, look out. Anybody can punch you in the nose on any given day.
And momentum is huge in MLS too.
Yeah, and it's so Vancouver's great start. This could be a horrible week potentially. They could crash out of CCC and that's why you got to keep the momentum going. So I'm very intrigued by that one as well. Plenty of great matchups though. The most important, of course, LAFC at Seattle, Saturday afternoon. You heard Mario talk. Airtime 1 p.m. Pacific on 710 ESPN. You'll want to join us there. Great stuff as always, Mario. Take us out. Another excellent performance here on LAFC Plus from you, sir.
Oh, you as well, Dave. Yeah, LAFC versus Seattle, just always a big one. So don't expect anything less in this one. Just because both teams are in Concacaf Champions does not mean this one doesn't have huge MLS implications. So make sure you join us for the pregame show on 710 ESPN, 1 p.m. On the ESPN LA app as well. If you haven't checked out the ESPN LA app, it's super easy, and LAFC is right there. It's just a click away. Make sure you download ESPN LA app, have it on your phone, click LAFC play-by-play. Boom, you'll hear Dave and I on the pregame and doing the play-by-play. So yeah, make sure you catch that and catch us on the next episode of LAFC Plus. That's Dave Denholm. I'm Mario Ruiz. Peace.